All right, so welcome to the In Cayman podcast here with Kenton.
Hey, Badir.
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to talk to you because we haven't really talked that much. A couple of the meetings, we spoke a little bit here and there. You're intriguing to me because you seem very nonpartisan.
Okay.
And I kind of want to explore that a bit.
Sure. Yeah.
But so tell me, well, I'm interested, like I feel like I always kind of want to hear people's stories, like how they got into Bitcoin or crypto.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to hear your story, like how.
Well, if you give me 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, man.
Have you seen the Putin interview?
With what's his name? Tucker?
Carlson?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I'm joking. I'm going to go into a whole
Okay.
history lesson. But it is a longer story. I am going to pull a Putin. I'm going to go back to 2004. I started got out of university, started working, started making some money, and I need to invest and save my money, right?
Right.
And so I came across gold and precious metals and the whole kind of backstory there, which you learn about fiat money, inflation, central banking, and I fell down that rabbit hole pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. And what did you study? I
was an engineer.
Okay.
And so at the time there, I was a petroleum engineer.
Okay.
And I just in the mid 2000s there just fell into it, and Austrian economics, libertarianism, anarcho-capitalism, all that good stuff, and I was really getting into it, and so much so that I started selling precious metals while I was still doing engineering.
Cool.
I was at my engineering job, like in my office, making sales to people on the phone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a lot, just like here and there.
Right.
But I was really getting into it.
Right.
And it's kind of cliche, you got to do what you love, right? And
right.
I just did not care about engineering anymore, and I wanted to get into investing and finance.
And what kind of engineering was that anyway?
I was doing petroleum engineering, so like oil and gas. So I was involved in drilling the holes into the ground, getting the oil out of the ground, that whole process. Which it is interesting, and it's the oil and gas industry is it's interesting, but this is something I want to spend my weekends studying. Like I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of upside. I have friends who are successful in it and everything.
Right,
I originally wanted to do be successful in that, and like I can't do this.
Right.
And so, I'm really into
selling precious metals.
Yeah. And it was more than just, trying to make money. It's, for me, I saw it as a way to bring about freedom in the world is, central bank. I really do view central banking as like one of the most evil thing that exists today. And the way we fight it is with our dollars, is by when you sell your US dollars or Canadian dollar or Cayman dollar, whatever, and you buy gold, you're saying no to the fiat system and yes to hard money, to real money. Right. And so I thought, okay, this is my way of creating freedom in the world, is I can help people get out of fiat and into precious metals. Right. And I can do my small part to make a difference. And then, I can receive an income from that, and this is great. I'm like practicing what I preach. I believe in this. It's more than just a job. It's something I can get behind.
That's so interesting that you saw that you had that view of central banking even before Bitcoin. It sounds like.
Oh yeah. And
because I always heard that view, like even going through school, printing money, inflation, what it does weakens the value of the currency. But it never really struck me as something I should be really, really concerned about.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I think the time when I started getting into it in those mid 2000s, Austrian economics has really taken off. Back then, you had like Ron Paul pushing it. And the whole Austrian economic school of thought was really getting a lot of momentum, and especially with the precious metals crowd, but even outside the precious metals crowd. So I think that helped. And so anyway, around, was it like 2011, I made the switch. I left engineering to work in finance, where I was selling gold and silver stocks and helping people invest in those. And around that same time, around 2010, I found out about Bitcoin from a libertarian meetup group.
Okay.
because it was the crypto anarchists started Bitcoin, and so that was swimming around the libertarian anarchist groups.
Right.
And so around 2010, I heard about it. I'm like, oh, this is a Ponzi. This is stupid. It's not backed by anything. I was a hardened gold bug, right? Hard money. It's got to be tangible. I got to hold. If I can't hold it, it's not real, right?
Right.
This is, and it's digital. What's to stop me from copying and pasting the code? Why can't I make Kenton coin? Like, this is dumb, right?
Right.
Oh, the government's just going to stop it. All the excuses you hear today about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That was me in 2010.
Yeah.
And because I was pretty down the rabbit hole on gold. And I say it, I'm purposely bringing this up to not just to make fun of myself, but it's important that we all get in our own dogma, right? But it's never too late to change, right? And so it took me, it was probably that real rally in 2013 when Bitcoin ran to 1,000, where I'm like, okay, wait a second. Something's wrong. I'm wrong. There's something about this I'm not getting. Right. I need to go back to the drawing board, reevaluate my beliefs. Right. What do I got wrong here? And when I really started to think about it more open-minded, instead of just being closed-minded, no, it's stupid, just gold, rah. It dawned on me that it's decentralized. The solution to central banking, how we fight central banking, is with decentral banking. Right. And it sounds so silly, so simple. Right. Everyone thinks Bitcoin's so complicated, but it really, the beautiful things in life, the things that really make a difference in life, are that simple. And that's when I kind of clicked. And then I'm like, a free market. A free market is decentralized. You have all these different actors participating, and excuse me, like say with any, with houses, cars, clothes, food, and we all have different preferences in those things. But when you aggregate all of the different actors acting, we get like kind of an average, right? And everyone's satisfied. That's how the free market works. It's decentralized. Right. And I'm like, God, I'm so stupid. How did I not, see this before? And so then that's when I started getting more into Bitcoin. So probably around, say 2014, 2015, more like 2015 probably. And
so before you go on from there,
sure.
When you were selling, I'm interested, when you were selling shares in gold and precious metals, they were literal shares, right?
Mining stocks.
Mining stocks?
Gold mining stocks, silver mining stocks.
So like company stocks? Okay, I see. So you weren't actually selling gold?
I was selling bullion as well. So and I still sell bullion today.
Okay. What's bullion? What's the difference between bullion and gold?
It's the same thing. So, sorry, when I say bullion, I mean coins, bars, like physical gold. Right. Oh, okay. That's bullion means the physical thing.
Okay. Yeah. So you were selling bullion as well then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the company I worked for, it's called Sprott. They're out of Canada, and their whole shtick, they were just like a precious metals company, and they specialized in investing in gold mining companies, silver mining companies. Along with other mining companies, we were involved in the whole sector, but it's interesting to note in all of mining, like nickel, iron, all metals mining. So I think it's about half the investment dollars goes towards gold mining.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what that tells you that gold is 50% of that precious metal market, I guess,
of the mining market.
Of the mining market.
Yeah.
So why do you say that? What does that mean for you?
I just think it's just an interesting tidbit. You'd think, it wouldn't be, iron or nickel would be way more or something like that. But it's let me make sure I make that clear. It goes to gold exploration. Sorry. So there's a ton of money. That's a broad word. Yeah.
Exploration. Yeah. Like I started thinking about the sunken pirate ships.
No, it's more like drilling for holes in the ground to look for ore bodies. Right. People are much more excited and interested in finding gold than they are nickel or copper or iron or whatever. Right. So even though the other elements, we actually use in industry much more, whereas gold just sits there. Right. There's way more dollars exploring for it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is it's kind of, if you compare it to Bitcoin, you have all these dollars going into mining to try and chase that next block reward, which increases the security. Right. With gold, you have all these dollars going to exploration, which helps in a sense keep their price down because you make discoveries, that supply comes in, and that's, you know, arguably is what kind of helps. You know, if we weren't doing that, there'd be no new gold supply, and the prices keep going up, which I guess in one way isn't bad, but yeah, that's yeah.
So how you got up to 2014, 2015 when you first got in? So what was the step from being in a coffee shop and drinking the coffee in a real book store with the physical books to Amazon ordering books online? So like from gold to digital, how was that step for you? Was it quick? Was it pretty much easy when it clicked? You're just like, all right,
yeah,
yes.
When it clicked, I was like, oh God, I'm such an idiot. How did I not see this?
Right.
Well, I think, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Right. And we all do things like, oh, why didn't we think smarter before?
Right.
But at the same time, you know, it's Bitcoin is a giant concept, right? Let me move over. You know, even if somebody's still struggling with it today, or maybe still doesn't click for them until a few years from now, it's okay. Like this is like the discovery of electricity. You know, when it first came out, people were like, I don't want that in my house. There's demons going to come into my house. Right? They're used to candles and kerosene lamps. The whole concept of electricity is just so foreign. It's so alien.
Right.
And the same with Bitcoin.
Right.
It's a totally different foreign concept.
Right.
And I would argue, you know, our peer group and people a bit older may never figure it out.
Right.
And it's only the new generations who are born into it are just going to accept it as reality.
Right.
And they'll adopt it. Right.
Right.
Yeah, for me, it's just kind of clicked. That's kind of what made it click, is like, I have to open my mind. I have to view this like a brand new technology, like the horseless carriage and man flying.
Right,
like,
right.
I have to open, you know, your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open.
Right.
Open my mind. And part of that too was, I guess, having faith, like accepting that the fact that I don't know how everything in the world works.
All right.
But like the horseless carriage, for example, or man flying, I can't tell you. Well, I can tell you as an engineer, I can tell you pretty good how they work, but I don't know every intricate detail, right? I just accept that it does.
Right.
The same with Bitcoin. I can't tell you every intricate detail, but I can tell you it does. It works. Right. It's there.
All right.
And so that was it, man.
So okay, so in 2014 now you were selling precious metals and bullion, and then Bitcoin hits. You're still selling precious metal.
Yeah.
But what happened between then and when you got to Cayman?
So the company I was working at, I had a book of clients there. In 2015, 2016, nobody was really that interested in Bitcoin or crypto. They're like, whatever, it's this weird thing. No.
Right.
Then the bull market hit in 2017. All of a sudden, okay, people are paying attention now. Clients are asking about it.
Where was Bitcoin at that point, price wise?
Oh, this is like when it went from $2,000 to $20,000. That whole, especially the last half of 2017. I had clients wanting to jump into GBTC. It was trading like 100% premium.
What does that mean? 100%? It was trading at 100% premium.
Grayscale Bitcoin Trust.
Yes.
So
GTBC, right?
GBTC.
Right.
Their shares are backed by Bitcoin.
Right.
You can take the total number of shares divided by the total number of Bitcoin.
Right.
And you can get X number of Bitcoin per share.
Okay.
Now, if you multiply that X by the Bitcoin price, you'll get the dollar per share. The net asset value per share. Well, in theory, that's what the shares should trade for. That's what they're worth, right?
Right.
But they were actually trading for twice that value, 100% more,
wow.
double the price.
Huh.
So people were paying for these shares twice more than what they were worth.
Right, right.
Which doesn't make logical sense, right?
Right.
But it just, people didn't know how to buy Bitcoin. They didn't understand. They're just. You'd be surprised how dumb people are with money.
Right.
Even wealthy people.
Right.
And they're just gobbling up, just buying it.
Right.
But part of the reason is back then it was still kind of hard to buy Bitcoin.
Right.
I even had trouble with it. I wired money to an exchange and it took them weeks for them to find it and get it in my account.
Right. So was that why Grayscale got in trouble? Or are you allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, that's the free market deciding how much a share should trade for. Right? That's no right or wrong.
And people are just trying to get a piece of Bitcoin.
Yeah. So where's he going with this? So I have clients now starting to get interested.
Right.
And I'd be like, see, like this is something. This is real.
And you're still at the company.
I'm still at the company.
Yeah.
And I'm bugging the company. We need to get into Bitcoin.
Right.
And even before that, I was bugging them a bit. Before 2017, during you don't want to jump in something like when it's going hot like that. You want it to simmer down.
Right.
Even after it pulled back, there's still no interest. I've been hyping clients where I could talk about it, get them into it.
Right.
Because the whole gold narrative in Bitcoin, they're very similar.
Right.
And especially what I was doing on the mining stock side, it was more speculative investing. Like people are looking for home runs and to try. Right. So the whole trying to make money in crypto was like it fit. It was a good match to what they're
with that
looking
type
for.
Of client.
Yeah, that kind of risk tolerance.
Right.
And then in 2020, I really kind of pushed the company again. We need to get offer Bitcoin to clients, have some kind of product, a fund, whatever, or have a crypto fund, and just it wasn't an outright no, shut up, you're stupid. It was just like, we're not just there's just no bandwidth, right? And so and then we had the rally in 2021. And I'm like, I'm tired of missing out professionally.
Yeah.
Because and I'm just like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I quit.
Yeah.
And
did you tell them why you quit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they knew. And so I started my own asset management company to specialize in crypto. And also there's a market need. Like there's like the our friends at the Bitcoin meetup. A lot of people are they invest on their own. They're do-it-yourselfers, right? And that's what has built. Everyone in crypto up to now has been like do-it-yourselfers, right? That's like 10% of the population,
right?
To get the next 80% in,
right?
They're not do-it-yourselfers,
right?
They need help. They want their hands held,
right?
They want a product, whatever,
right?
They need, So that was me starting my company. I'm going to offer that, help people get into it,
right?
And yeah.
And so what kind of product did you imagine that would get them into, is it Bitcoin and crypto at this point?
So with Bitcoin, I'm just kind of helping people do it on their own, get an account, open at Kraken. They're easy to open, fund it with some money, buy Bitcoin, and then get a ledger, Trezor, and then I help people just, transfer it over. I'm not making any money doing this. It's a loss leader. You know what it's like, kind of those things really aren't that hard to do. When you hold somebody's hand over the phone, step by step, they're comfortable and confident. And then once it's in cold storage, it should sit there for 5 or 10 years. Right? We're not trading this, right? And so I use that as like a loss leader. I am.
What do you mean loss leader? What does that mean?
Like I'm doing it for free just to get business and to like build a relationship with someone.
Right.
And then, but I am also looking into some kind of joint custody, collaborative custody. So, not everybody wants to take self-custody of their Bitcoin.
Right.
They're terrified they're going to lose their keys, whatever.
Right.
And then I agree, it makes sense, right? Especially older people.
Right.
How many times do they can't log into their computer, whatever. Right. And
I mean, at some point you have to arrange for that. Yeah. You're not going to live forever.
Exactly.
Right?
And especially maybe you are organized and you can't handle it, but then you die.
Right.
Your wife, your kids take over. What the hell is, dad or mom doing, right? And so there's got to be a solution to this. Right. And people are working on it.
Right.
And it's kind of what I want to get into and offer some kind of joint custody where if you lose your key, I've got a backup. Or if you pass away, I can help you with the heirs. But do it in a way that I can't access your Bitcoin. I can help hold a backup, but I can never actually touch it myself.
Similar to multi-sig.
Yeah, like a multi-sig.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to multi-sig. I think that The industry is going towards MPC, which
What's
is multi. I forget what it stands for, but it's taking one signature and sharding that into different pieces.
Okay, what does that mean? How does it do that? You mean your key?
Taking one key,
Right,
and then breaks it up into multiple keys. In a sense.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So it's like the same effect as multi-sig, but they're technically different.
Interesting. So wait, now help me understand that. So once it takes your key and makes it into multi keys, then what do you do with those?
So that's when you share it with your trusted parties.
Just a piece of that.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then you would need like a 2 of 3 or 3 of 5 or 6 of 6 or however you want to set it up.
How interesting.
Yeah. When what's cool with that technology is that you just have to start with one key, and every crypto is just one key.
Right.
Whereas with a multi-sig, that specific blockchain has to support multi-sig keys.
Right.
Right.
Huh.
You could have a blockchain that doesn't support multi-sig.
Right.
Anyway, so that's what I would like to get into and be able to help people with properly custodying and storing their Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Really no different than storing gold in a vault.
Right.
Right. When you can take self-custody of your gold. You can have your bullion, your coins, your bars in your hand and put them in your sock drawer or put them in a safe box in your house. Or you can have them stored in a vault. Like here on Island, we got strategic wealth preservation.
Right.
And for larger sums of money, I always recommend have it stored in a vault like strategic wealth.
Right.
Avoid the banking system, no safe deposit box.
Right.
A private security storage like them.
Right.
And I sell bullion through them.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. The facility is pretty cool. Have you been there?
I have not been there.
Yeah,
no.
it's
and it's a new one, I've heard.
They just built a brand new one. They had the original one they outgrew.
Right.
They had one vault and it was getting full. This new facility, they have room for 12 of the same vaults.
Huh.
Like they've built for growth.
Right.
And because I have a relationship with them, I got a tour of the vault. It's pretty cool. They got the gold bars.
Right.
Like if you've ever, it's pretty awesome when you get to lift an actual gold bar.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Right. I held my friend John. He was just a silver coin and just holding that. I was like, oh shit, this is nice.
Yes.
Like,
I should have brought mine because I usually carry an ounce gold coin, silver coin with me for
do
that
you?
reason.
Okay.
Because especially when I was more active selling gold.
Yeah.
When you hold an ounce of gold in your hand.
Yeah, you feel it.
It is one of those moments. It's like it's a thing. Like it's like this is real.
Yeah.
And you feel it's almost like you feel the wealth. Like this is money.
Right. I feel like it's almost like there's a certain energy there, and a lot of people do believe rocks have energy. So it's like, and it is energy packed in there, right? So it's like plus the weight, and it just feels great. Yeah. So the next one you're bringing in the gold coin.
I will definitely. Yeah. The and they say that if you're into the energy stuff, that the gold is for kings and the masculine, and silver is a feminine. Mm-hmm. Gold is sun, silver is the moon, and they balance each other.
Interesting. I never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
It works with the sun and the moon as well, I feel like a little bit. Huh. Yeah, definitely explore that a bit more.
Yeah.
So, okay, where are we now? So
what I'm doing with how I'm helping people, I guess.
Right, the collaborative custody. I like that. I think about it a lot too because a lot of people come to, because I'm posting about Bitcoin a lot. Mm-hmm. People will see me on the streets and be like, help me get into Bitcoin. Like, and then like, so I've ruminated. I'm like, besides just helping them on the street when I have 10 minutes, is there a product? Is there something that can be offered? I don't go very far with it because I'm running this business. That's pretty much all I can do. So but it is a need. I see it out there on the streets. And so how then did you get to Cayman, and what year was that?
When did the Cayman? Very end of 2018. So basically January 2019. And
what made you come here?
So it'd been a long-term goal of mine to get set up in a tax haven.
Okay.
And
specifically for the tax benefits?
Yeah. And I looked at the normal ones like Switzerland, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bahamas, and kind of running through the list. Singapore and Hong Kong, they're in is 12 hours time difference from North America. So like that just wouldn't work for me. With
Right.
most of my clients are in North America.
Right.
So it's going to be cool, but again, there's a time difference. So I started looking more in the Caribbean, and then Cayman. And I'm like, I'm just started looking into Cayman, and just started checking off a lot of boxes. And it wasn't necessarily like one specific thing, but like I scuba dive. There's a lot of easy flights getting from here to North America. It's a hedge fund capital of the world. I want to start my own fund, my own asset management company. So personally, there was a lot of things going, that matched what I was doing, what I wanted to do in life.
Right.
And so I came to visit. It was great. It's fantastic. Like, it's first world country.
Yeah.
It's very, very, like, everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
It's really no different than being in North America.
Right.
I don't know if Caymanians want to hear that or not, but and Caymanian is very welcoming. Like I don't feel. You go to some places, you can feel the segregation. I don't feel that here at all.
Right.
And especially, I think a lot of Caymanians they'll even go to North America or Europe for high school or college, right?
Yeah.
So, so I felt like it'd be easy to integrate in society here, and then Dart, love them or hate them. I mean, I'm not a fan of gentrification. I'm a bit of a hippie myself, but I'd rather go to a place where you have a billionaire investing hundreds of millions into the country as opposed to pulling hundreds of millions out of the country.
Right.
So I know it's a sensitive subject for a lot of locals, but I'd rather be on the up and up with it here, right?
Right.
And people always ask me like they'll say, why do you move to Cayman? Like, well, I say no taxes, and it's not just about the money, because I'm money in my pocket.
Right.
It's I'm against paying taxes, and like I feel if I'm in the U.S. or Canada, anywhere else paying tax, I'm funding terrorism.
Right.
And for me, it's my way to defund it.
Right.
And so it's not just about having money in my pocket, trying to get rich or anything.
Right.
I want to be in control of my dollars.
Yeah.
And I want to be free.
Yeah.
And I want to invest in freedom activities and do what I can to create freedom in the world. And I'd have this argument with people all the time in North America. They're like, "Oh, if you don't like it, just leave." I'm like, "All right." I left. I'm gone, So,
Right. I mean, you said it at the beginning. It's where how do you get past the central banks with your money?
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm sorry.
No. No. Can't remember what I was going to say.
Sorry. But yeah, our only vote that counts is with our dollar. Voting in an election is just it makes you feel good. But the real votes that matter is your dollars. And every time we go to the businesses we like, we're voting for them to exist. When we go to the businesses we don't want, we're voting for them not to exist. And so it's a market democracy. And the key difference between a market democracy and political democracy is in a market democracy, you can opt out. If there's no products or services that you like, you don't have to buy any of them.
Right. But in a political
you can just
one,
hold on to your money, hold on to your votes. In a political democracy, if you don't like any of the candidates, that's fine. You don't vote, but you still have to subscribe to one of them.
Right.
You're still forced to follow along with them. Right. So
interesting.
Yeah. So that's the method to my madness. It's
right.
Yeah.
So are you against paying tax because of money printing, or is war in general?
I'm against it because it's. Okay.
No, go ahead. I guess the only other thing I wanted to say is because recently for me also, with understanding more deeply money printing and its effect, but also taxing the same people that you're inflating from, it is a bit of a thing for me. And I'm wondering how much North American governments make from tax and how much they make from money printing, like what the sort of percentage is between the two. So if you happen to know, just give me your answer.
I don't know that.
Okay.
But the reason I'm against it is because it's theft. The tagline is taxation is theft.
Right.
Technically, taxation is extortion.
Right.
If you don't, extortion means if you don't do this, I'm going to hurt you.
Right.
Theft is when somebody just breaks into your house and
does
takes
it
something.
whether you, without you
knowing.
Right.
And
that's what inflation is, literally.
Yes.
Money, at least the expansion of the money supply.
100%. It's hidden, the hidden tax, right? The hidden theft. And so I'm against taxes because they're involuntary.
Yeah.
Right. I'm all for voluntary interactions between people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a free society is. If all our interactions are involuntary, if we're being forced, that's an unfree society.
Right.
Yeah. And if you really, you're gonna get me going here, but
yeah, man, let's do it, baby. Let's do it.
We all agree slavery is bad.
Right. I think about slavery all the time when I think about inflation. Like the two just are like the same thing for me. I'm like, I look at inflation now like it's the most evil thing in the world. Like we have to get rid of it for everyone's sake.
Yeah.
But why did you bring up slavery?
So to add to your point, debt and inflation are the whips and chains of today. So
wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's that's what keeps us all enslaved. So if you think about, normally when you talk about slavery, people think about someone chained on a field, digging holes or whatever.
Right.
That kind of slavery, your tax rate is 100%. You get free clothing, you get free housing, you get free food, you get free education, free healthcare, free roads. You get everything for free.
Right.
Right? Well, what's wrong with that, right? This is the socialist utopia, right? But no, it's slavery. And so if you're paying 50% tax a year, you're really just a slave for half the year. Everyone deludes themselves, well, I get all these things for it. That's what the people stealing from you tell you to convince you to keep going along with the game.
Right.
And people accept it. Right? Oh, I got to pay this tax for roads and all this stuff, right? And in reality, all of these things that we get for our taxes, if they're offered in a free market, they'd be 1/10 the price and 10 times the quality. Right. So that's how I liken taxes to slavery.
Right.
And where you're going with central banking and inflation, that's what binds us, what really holds us back from getting free, because that 50% we aren't taxed on that we get to keep, that's inflated away.
Wow.
Right. And let's take it a step further.
So everyone's essentially taxed twice.
Multiple times.
Right.
So get this.
But they don't realize it the second time.
Yeah. And so that money you've left over, okay, it's not being taxed. Well, it's being eroded away through inflation.
Right.
I got to do something about it. I have to invest.
Right.
So now you're forced to invest that money. Well, you don't know how to invest. You're putting your money at risk, and you just end up losing it. People end up losing more than they would through the inflation.
Right.
Now let's pretend you actually made some money instead. Well, you got to pay capital gains tax.
Right.
And you get taxed again.
Right.
And then heaven forbid you actually save a lot of money up until the day you die. Well, you got to pay an inheritance tax.
Right.
They're getting you every which way they go, right?
Right.
And then that prevents you from passing on your wealth to your children, to your heirs.
Right.
Maybe, everybody wants their children to live better lives than them. Imagine if your whole life, you weren't paying out the tax all the time. You could accumulate your wealth, pass it on to your heirs. They could start from have such a head start in their lives, accumulate wealth, pass to their, the compounding of wealth from generation to generation would be phenomenal. And this is why central banking is so evil, because it destroys that. Yeah. It does reverse compounding, where it steals that wealth from generation to generation, and destroys that middle class and pushes all towards the few that are in control. Yeah. And
inflation. What? So here's my question. I want to know, I learned about inflation, like I told you. All right, we all learn about it.
In school, you mean?
Yeah, in school. Okay, yeah, I studied finance undergrad, but it didn't click. Sorry, it didn't click for me until Bitcoin. So is the world waking up to this?
I hope so. I think so. Yeah.
But and has it been a long time? So this has been happening since World War One?
Well, good question. This iteration,
right?
It would let's say it's
Correct.
happened, since World War One,
Right.
like in the West,
Right.
But it's been going on for millennia,
Since the beginning of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Even with gold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my favorite books is Debt: The First 5,000 Years.
Cool.
It goes through, the whole history of money,
Right. Right.
and because the concept. Starts with barter, money, then debt. Have you heard of that?
No. Yeah. I mean, that's the general flow of what we did, right?
That's the commonly accepted view.
Right.
But I forget, his anthropologist. He's like, well, where does this come from? What's the historical record say? And he started studying, looking into it, and found actually it's the opposite. It started as debt, then money, then barter. And it's really interesting when he dissects it all. But anyway, so inflation's been around for a long time.
Right. Right.
And even Jesus was crucified 3 days after overturning the money tables.
Right.
In the market.
Right. He was super annoyed with them.
Yeah. So
I wonder if they were inflating. What were they
100%.
up to?
Yeah, usury. Interest.
Right.
That's my belief.
Right.
That's what finally why they got him.
Right.
That's why the central bankers of the time got him. Right.
That's very interesting. I think, I can't remember the exact specifics, if it's 3 of the Gospels or one of them, but it was immediately, I remember because I studied theology, and I remember having a teacher say it was after Christ turned over the money table that they crucified him. It was like a couple of days later. So there was like the connection there.
I want to say 3 days later.
Right.
And that always stood out for me as like, of all the stuff he did and said, that was the one that got him. Right. And it's because he pulled back the veil on the scam.
Right.
And so anyway, to answer your question, like, are things changing? I think they are. I think things are changing, and people are waking up to it, getting wise to it.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin helps, crypto helps. The whole talk about it helps, right? It's not going anywhere. It's ETF approved. It's price go up.
That's why.
I mean, it's like the results speak for itself. That's the crazy thing. Like we big up Bitcoin so much, but then the results also speaks for itself.
Yeah.
All right. So it's like, no, it's not like that. It's tanking.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
You've seen the memes. Bitcoin is a Trojan horse for freedom.
No, I can't think of what you're talking about.
You know what a Trojan horse is?
Yes.
So
Is it the thing? Maybe I don't. It's the thing that knocks something out.
No. So back in the Trojan times,
right?
I forget the two sides, but there is you had a castle and an invading army. And the invading army gave gave this castle a gift, this wooden Trojan horse.
Right. Okay, I know the memes.
And they wheeled it into the castle.
All right.
And in the middle of the night, the horse opened up, and these soldiers from the invading army got out and just, without warning, were able to just basically take over the castle and kill the defenses.
Right. I know the meme now. I love those memes.
Okay, so the Trojan horse at the gate, the Trojan horse is Bitcoin, and in the belly is freedom.
Right.
And so I think that's exactly what's happening when you mention people waking up to inflation.
Mm-hmm.
People see Bitcoin going up. They're greedy. They want to get in. They buy it. Now I got to learn about it.
Right.
Why is everybody so excited about it? Why are these crazy guys talking on podcasts about it? Why do we meet every month about it? Why is, it started this whole $1 trillion industry? What is going on?
Right.
Oh, inflation. Oh, money printing.
Right.
Oh, bank bail-ins. Oh, all these, all the TradFi scams, all the stuff,
it's all exposed now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I mean, I guess not everyone's going to wake up to it immediately, but it'll take years. But I just don't see everyone just not continually waking up to that. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. And as long as there's Bitcoin and crypto in general, it's just going to shine a light.
Yeah.
Because then it's never going to be able to compete against it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. For me, one of the things that actually really kind of told me, like, man, this is moving way faster than I ever thought possible, was El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender.
Right. Right.
I would have thought it would take 30 years for it to happen.
Right.
And the country would have to collapse or whatever. And,
Right.
and they'd make gold legal tender before anything else.
Right.
But here we are. And I guess in a roundabout way, El Salvador it did reach its bottom. And it had a 50-year collapse or whatever.
Right,
and
right.
this was its bottom. And like, we need to change and do something better.
Right.
And so the fact they did that, and then other countries are talking about it.
Yeah. I actually just opened up the article to look into their civil war. I think it was like 50 years because Nayib brought it up in his speech at the C-SPAN one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was C-SPAN.
The one Sam put in our group
Right.
chat.
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
it.
The latest one there, he mentioned, the Civil War, and I was like, let me do some research into that. So I have that tab up. I need to sort of read through and see what happened there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty much repping Bitcoin and just that line of thinking, like calling out the money printers, basically. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a little worried for him.
Like, he might get assassinated or something?
I mean,
Yeah.
this guy's like, shedding light on everything, that's, he's a pretty small country over there. I think it'll be fine though. I think everybody will have to get Bitcoin at the end of the day. I mean, I think that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
I would love to see Cayman do that.
It'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. It would. I'm very interested to see in the next elections if anybody even talks about it.
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not just in the US, but I know in Canada, I know like all countries is becoming a political topic.
And you saw Trump's comments on it the other day?
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's like his first positive comment about Bitcoin.
Yeah. He's still pro dollar, but he's okay with Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah. I saw that one. Actually, I'm pro dollar too.
Right.
Maybe you want to go into this a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it. Because I like that. A Saylor is a big influence of mine, Michael Saylor, and he says very often he imagines a future where you have a wallet and you have your Bitcoin and you have your nation state currency.
Yeah.
Right? Is that kind of what you're getting at with that?
No, I mean, I'm still yes and no. I'm still anti-fiat. I think it shall disappear and go away.
Okay.
I think we should go into Bitcoin standard.
Okay.
Where I was going with it is, I still think people should own U.S. dollars.
Why?
It's still a position. It's still worth to have.
Sure. It's like still the strongest currency in the world at the end of the day.
Yes.
Right.
It's still reserve currency. Because I find what happens is when people get into gold or Bitcoin, the whole central banking, inflation, the currency is going to collapse, they get totally out of fiat. They're all in Bitcoin, gold, whatever.
Right.
They have no dollars. They have no cash.
Right. You don't recommend this as a strategy.
No, because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Right.
We're going to have ups and downs.
Right.
We're constantly teetering on do we jump into hyperinflation or hyperdeflation, and it's all at the whims of what the central bankers decide to do, and we could have it is entirely possible to have a spout of hyperdeflation. In those scenarios, that's when you want cash,
right?
And especially U.S. dollars, not Cayman dollars or Canadian or Swiss franc or anything.
Right.
You want U.S. dollars.
So walk me through a deflation. That's not something I think about very often.
Sure.
Like what? So because the first thing, your first instinct is, price goes down. That's good.
Yeah.
What's the negative that happens in a deflationary environment?
So, actually, there's two types of deflation. There's a deflationary environment in like the system we have now, and there's one in like a free market. And a deflationary environment in a free market, that is a good thing.
Okay.
You would have, if we had sound money in a free market, and we had the natural course would be deflation,
right?
Because technology would improve, increasing number of goods and services at a faster rate than the money supply. So those goods and services would get cheaper over time,
right?
And you'd be benefited just by holding on to your money,
right?
You wouldn't have to put it at risk to invest. You could just hold on to it, and it would naturally appreciate slowly over time. So that's good. That's good deflation.
But in our environment,
and
is it because it's debt?
Exactly. Everyone's in debt. You might be thinking, well, I'm not in debt. Okay, but the company you work for is. Well, my company I work for is in debt. No, okay, but your company's customers are in debt. At some point, you go down the chain, somebody's in debt.
Right.
and a lot of debt up to their eyeballs.
Right.
And when they default, they can't pay it back. Mm-hmm. You get this whole daisy chain of events, right? All happening all at once.
And that's what would happen with deflation. It would the debt would become too big.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then you run for cash at that point?
That's what everybody's doing. And so there's a run for cash to pay off debts, to get out of something before it goes down in value. Mm-hmm. And so there's a mad rush to cash.
Right.
And so obviously you want to be in cash before that happens, right?
And do you think that's a possibility?
100%. Yeah. It's something. This is the thing. This is the rub. We don't know how it's going to play out.
Right.
There's both these eventualities. Throughout history, the powers that be have always gone through inflation, right? They've always printed the money.
Right.
Right. And we've gone through the hyperinflationary route.
Right.
But it doesn't mean we can't have a hyperdeflation. If the central banks and governments decide, well, we're not going to do any more QE, print any more money, we're just going to let interest rates keep going up,
right,
and we're going to squeeze the market, that puts us in deflation.
Right.
And we got a taste of that from November 22 through the end of, let me get my dates right. Yeah, November 21 through all of 22, I think it was.
Okay.
Forgive me, I can't get my dates right. But basically, stocks, bonds, gold, Bitcoin, crypto, everything went down. The US dollar went up. And so that happened over a span of about 18 months, I think.
Ah, interesting.
And that was basically a giant deleveraging around the world. And so this is where we're at today, is that we have all this debt.
Yeah.
Personal debt, corporate debt, government debt.
The U.S. got $1 trillion interest on the debt.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
Yeah.
And they can't pay.
And they can't pay it.
They can't pay it off. No one get paid off.
They got to take money out to pay it.
We got to print to pay it.
Right.
Or if they don't print, then they default. And if they don't print and default, that's a deflation.
Right.
If they print it, then that's inflation.
Right.
Which is a default as well, but just a different road.
Right.
Hyperinflation is this path. Hyperdeflation is this path.
Interesting.
Both paths end up at the same point.
Interesting.
Right. So like even in a hyperdeflation, our Bitcoin and gold, our hard assets would still hold up.
Right.
They'll go down in price in nominal terms, but in real terms, relative to paper assets, they'll hold up in value.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the U.S. can never, or it seems like countries in general cannot choose the deflation path.
That's a great point. So that's exactly what they can't, because whoever chooses any other country outside the U.S., if any of them choose austerity, okay, we're going to get, they basically,
we're going to default.
They're going to tank their economy.
Right.
So it's always like right away.
Right.
Eventually, that's going to tank anyway, but they're just accepting, well, we're going to do it right now.
Right, right.
And this is the thing with politicians. They never want it on their watch.
Right.
They want to kick the can down the road.
Right, right.
And this is the reason, though, U.S. dollars and no other currency, because you just mentioned that the U.S. government has all this debt.
Right.
Well, other countries, their governments have debt too.
Right.
But a lot of them they'll have debt denominated in dollars.
Right.
They can't print dollars to pay off those debts. Now they have to print their own local currency to exchange it to dollars to pay the debt.
Right.
And that's how they destroy their currencies, right? Because no one wants to lend money to these countries in their own currency because they know it'll get inflated away.
Right.
Everybody wants to do business in the dollar.
Right.
So all these other foreign countries, foreign companies, foreign people all have debts denominated in dollars.
US dollars.
But there's not enough US dollars cash to pay off all the debts.
Right.
So this is why the dollar can remain strong for the foreseeable future, and why I think it is important for us hardcores to still have some US dollars.
Right, right.
And basically that just gives us the ability to maybe buy some Bitcoin or gold on the cheap. Should it come down in price.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Michael Saylor influenced me a lot. So he, his sort of vision of it, because I hear a lot of Bitcoiners say, "Oh, the U.S. dollar is going to crash." But Saylor's like, "No, it's not.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to crash. The weaker ones first, right?"
Yeah,
And I see,
exactly it.
I see Bitcoin just out. It reached its highest price against like 19 different currencies, which just means those are the ones collapsing right now, right? So it's like at some point, I think the citizens of Lebanon and Nigeria and all those states have to say, okay, let's not take this fresh currency that they're printing here. Let's look into crypto. Let's look into Bitcoin. Like it's got to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I would like, and I think, maybe he's right. Maybe those other currencies do die, and only like a handful of them survive along with Bitcoin and crypto.
I think they will die. This is,
but people need to wake up first, though, right? People need to start using an alternative.
well, yes, they do, but most people they wait till it's too late. Like it's only when their country is actually collapsing that they actually look into it.
Right.
And they don't. Bitcoin and crypto is just one part of it. They're putting their wealth into U.S. dollars, into U.S. treasuries, into U.S. stocks.
Right.
Because the U.S. is still the number one economy.
Right.
And this is why the dollar and the U.S. stock market will stay strong while everything else is tanking. So everybody always thinks, oh, well, the U.S. economy, it's in a recession, the market should tank. But other countries are in worse recessions.
Right.
And that money is flowing into the U.S., helping prop up their markets.
Right.
So the periphery always collapses first, and then the capital flows into the center, to the capital, and then the capital collapses. So, did you follow that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, it looks like that's the long-term trend, and that's what all Bitcoiners are looking at and talking about. And I know a lot of people are like, you guys have been talking about that forever, and it hasn't happened yet. And I wonder, like, with Milei getting in Argentina, I think he wanted to dollarize as well, right? And I just wonder if that like helps stem the flow of inflation, the fact that these other countries are dollarizing. So what the U.S. prints, it kind of just trickles down to the rest of the world. And so it stems inflation a little bit and keeps everything propped up. But I mean, that day of reckoning. I mean, would you pay taxes if the government that you were paying taxes to was financially responsible? Created a profit, managed its debts, didn't print money, or you just don't think it works that way?
Well, I mean, I'm in a sense paying tax in Cayman,
right?
I'm okay. It's a relative thing, right? I like the way Cayman runs the country better than Canada, the U.S. That's why I'm here.
Right.
No different than, like going to a certain restaurant versus other restaurants.
Right.
And if you boil the essential services of a government down, police, courts, national defense, whatever. Yeah, I want those things. I want to, if I want something, I have to pay for it, right? So I have no problem paying for those services.
Right.
It should be voluntarily, right? And I should have a choice in doing so or not. But
some Cayman stuff you have to pay, right? Even
exactly. We still don't have choice here.
Right.
For me, it's a lesser of two evils.
Right.
The way Cayman taxes on consumption.
Right.
On there's a value added tax.
Right.
They don't tax on production.
Right.
Whereas the West, they tax you on production. Right.
Yeah.
I can live with it. Right. If I have to choose it to, I'd rather be taxed on consumption.
Right.
Because then I can just consume less.
Right.
If I don't want to pay it, I don't buy stuff and bring it in the country.
Right.
I just live more simple.
Right.
If I really want it, okay, I got to pay the tax on it.
Right.
I got to pay. We pay for our work visa fees, and I pay the company. I got to pay
company fees
to the government. That's fine. I get it. There's fees to administer all this stuff. That's okay. So I view that as my tax. And despite Cayman being a low tax, no tax jurisdiction, there's still a huge surplus here. They make tons of money. They have lots. There's no strife here.
No.
There's the country's doing okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny, and people a lot of people can't fathom how Cayman can operate if they're not taxing the hell out of people. It's like, well, it actually isn't that complicated or expensive to lay rocks down flat on the ground and glue them together, right? It's not that complicated or expensive to like make a long pipe and put water through it.
Right.
Like, this isn't rocket science, right? This can be done. Right?
Interesting. Yeah, the stuff that government does is of a different nature than what private companies do.
Yeah.
And the level of technical proficiency, maybe. Well, depending. I mean, I guess the U.S. Army, pretty technically proficient, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Did you ever read or get Jason Lowry's whole angle on the war and the changing of war and the projection of power?
Yeah.
What's your feel about all that? I see he put something on Twitter the other day too, like his first tweet in a while.
Yeah, his account got hacked or something?
I think the speculation was that they told him to stop, to take
That's
everything down. Right.
Yeah.
He just came back with a tweet, pretty awesome tweet. But yeah, it's.
Well, I thought his tweet said his account was hacked.
I probably missed that then.
I could be wrong too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't.
So what's your interpretation of why does he think that Bitcoin will change war from the projection of like physical power through bombs and missiles and stuff like that towards cyber?
I don't know. I don't know well enough to explain it. All I know is I find is very fascinating.
Right.
The way he's laid it out like that.
Right.
I watched I think it was his first interview with Pomp, which I thought was really good. He explained it quite well there.
Okay.
Maybe
I'll have to go back and take a look at that
we
one.
get the link for it, put it in the description of this.
Exactly.
It's super interesting.
Huh.
But I don't understand it well enough to explain it or talk about it.
It kind of makes sense when he's saying it.
Exactly. When he walks you through it, I'm like,
I see what you're getting at. I see,
Yeah.
Huh.
But I do kind of along similar lines. I can kind of way I view a bit Bitcoin is it in essence makes the current form of government obsolete. The way we view governments today. So again, if you boil government down, it's defense, police, courts. It's all about protection of property, defending property, adjudicating disputes over property. Mm-hmm. The Bitcoin blockchain, that's what it is. It
eliminates a lot of that.
Exactly. The blockchain is an immutable record of property and who owns it and where it's been. So, you just imagine if you could have the title to your house on the Bitcoin blockchain and you have the keys to that title, it is your house, irrefutably your house. Right. And if you're going to exchange it, sell to somebody, you transfer the keys to them.
Right.
We know they have the ownership, and there's a track record for infinity on the blockchain.
Right.
And that's really the basic core function of a government is to issue property titles and to enforce that title.
Right.
And it's and it's kind of help explain this a little bit further. That title, your property title, is only as good as the paper it's written on.
Right.
It's only as good as the government in power at the time that backs it.
Right.
And a really good example of this is Cuba. So,
have you been?
Yeah, I used to work there.
Oh.
4.5 years, I traveled back and forth.
Between where? Cuba and
Canada, in Calgary.
Oh, cool.
When I was the oil and gas engineer.
Right. Okay.
Working in the oil fields.
Is that right?
Cuba. Yeah.
Where in Cuba?
I stayed in Veradero.
Ah, cool.
At the hotel on the golf course.
Nice.
It was pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
So the example of Cuba as not having property rights.
Yeah. So when was the revolution in '59, I think?
Yeah.
And Castro basically kicked all the Americans out. All the Americans left, and he appropriated all the other lands.
Right.
And nobody recognizes the Cuban government. Right. There's the embargo and everything.
Right.
And so, but that's been in place now for what 40, 60 some odd years.
Right.
And over those 60 some odd years, you've had Canadian companies go in, Spanish, Italian companies take over or buy these properties that used to be owned by Americans. The company I worked for, Sherritt, they operated a nickel mine in Cuba, which used to be owned by a U.S. company. So now it begs the question, at some point, the current Cuban regime, they're all gonna, they're on the 70s or 80s, they're all dying.
Right.
there's going to be a turnover,
Right.
and it's going to become pro-America again, right? That at some point relations will improve, and
Is that right? Is that what you think?
I think it's inevitable. It's just time, right? And then so there'll be a government there that's friendly with the U.S. What's going to happen? The Americans that originally own these properties, especially the corporations that owned them in the 50s and were kicked out,
Right.
are they going to still lay claim to them? And it's an interesting question, because who owns it, right?
Right.
Who's the true owner?
And are those companies still around? But you're assuming that the Cuban government gives up socialist policies and gives up abandonment of properties. Or are you saying that they've already done that? They're already selling some of the properties to Canadian firms? And
Yes, that's happening.
Right.
But I'm assuming someday the U.S. embargo will be lifted.
Right.
Relations between the two countries will become friendly.
Right.
And then they're part of relations being friendly is you're going to agree to follow certain laws and certain practices, right?
And do you think Cuba will become a free democracy? Because doesn't that have to happen first?
Yeah.
Or does it blend through time?
Yeah, I think that would have to happen first.
Well, where were you going with the property rights thing?
So then it'll beg the question, if a new regime comes in, and they look at this old regime was an anomalous. Whatever they did is void.
Right.
So whatever property they sold, so they didn't have the right to do that.
Right.
The original, these properties were stolen.
Right.
The
By
Cuban
Castro.
government, like Castro, stole it and sold them.
Right.
So it's no different than if I steal your laptop and I go sell it,
Right.
and then somebody finds out and they get your the
And then I'll
laptop's
come
yours.
back and be like, hey, that's actually still mine.
Yeah.
Though.
And the new person will be like, well, I bought it. Well, you'd be like, well, the police will say,
Right.
well, it doesn't matter that you bought it from me,
But that's
because I stole it.
That's a whole level of difficulty that Cuba would have to get over to have any sort of normal relations. Like that seems huge. It's another revolution almost.
It is. And so I'm just using this as like a thought experiment.
Okay, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you look at, especially right now, the American legal system is so litigious, right? And so I'm just bringing it up as like a thought experiment.
Right.
To highlight that the title to your property is only as good as the guns backing it.
Right.
Now, what if we're Cuba in the 50s, but we have Bitcoin? We have this Bitcoin blockchain. It's all over the world.
Right.
And we have everyone's property
Right.
titles around the Bitcoin blockchain.
Right.
And
then Castro
takes over.
Right. What would happen?
Well, he's like, well, he can't get the titles. He can't move those titles on the blockchain.
Right.
The rest of the world is recognizing the Bitcoin blockchain as the true ledger.
Yeah.
Do what you want, Castro. Come with your new own ledger. Do whatever you want.
Right.
That's fine. We're all sticking with Bitcoin. So as
Right.
soon as you go out of the way, Castro, as soon as you're done and you leave, your regime dies.
Yeah.
We're going back to the
Right,
Bitcoin
right,
ledger.
right.
Everybody's original properties.
Right.
It's all there. They're yours. We all agree. Even though somebody's there squatting for 60 years.
Right.
So for me, that's what I think is really cool with Bitcoin and the ability to really change the way government functions and exists today.
So in your example, then, once we reach a Bitcoin standard, government would be far thinner.
Yeah. I don't see how the two could really coexist.
Right, because so much of what government does, based on what you're saying, it revolves around property and defending the property, safeguarding the property.
Yep.
And then Bitcoin eliminates that because it's super safe.
Yeah.
Your property is super safe and flexible. Yeah. And if Castro comes, you can zip it around the world and wait for him to go and zip back or whatever you want to do, right? So,
And the other big one is central banking, right? That's one of the core.
What do you mean?
It's the core business of government. One of their core,
Right.
Their ability to print money and do what they want with it.
Right.
With Bitcoin, for a Bitcoin standard, it removes that power away from them, their ability to do it.
Right.
So it forces. Let's kind of walk through that. Let's say everyone in the world adopted Bitcoin en masse. It's millions of dollars, whatever. It's huge.
Right.
All currencies are collapsing. US dollar is collapsing. If the powers that be actually want to try and continue to stay in power, they'd have to adopt austerity like instantly,
Right.
and be like really smart, really like
They'd have to change their approach.
change everything. Right?
Yeah. They could probably still get a position in power,
Yeah.
but it'd be a different approach.
Exactly. So,
They'd have to be honest, first of all.
oh, exactly.
That's going to be like the first step.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fun to think about, a time like that. Hyper Bitcoinization, what do they call it?
It is fun, yeah.
I mean,
I think we have a real shot of it happening in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
I always feel like we're a generation away from change.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
it'll be dude. It's may you live in interesting times, and I think we're in it.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty neat.
I mean, I think, discovering Bitcoin was one of the most interesting things that's happened in my life. There's only a handful, and Bitcoin is definitely one of them, right? Yeah. It's super exciting. We do podcasts over it. So maybe this is a good segue into crypto a bit. Now, do you imagine a future where, say, I don't know, Bitcoin's a $50 trillion asset instead of a $1 trillion, and we can actually literally zap everything around, Satoshis all around the place, and pay for things? Do you think that is a possibility with Bitcoin itself?
Yeah. Definitely possible.
And you think that would be layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 softwares?
To be able to do it that fast,
right?
For sure, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So having said that, where Bitcoin can, in your perspective, be a store of value, as we know, and now in the future a unit of exchange, where does crypto fit into all that?
So that's a good question. So just like if you look at money in the past, throughout time, gold has risen to the top, right? Gold is money of kings.
Right.
That's the main one. But we sell silver, and we still use that as money.
Right.
And there's obviously other forms of money being used throughout time.
Right.
But gold's kind of stood the test of time.
Right.
I think in the digital age, I think Bitcoin is gold. It's going to stand the test of time. But you might have some other ones that come and go or whatever, or stick around for a while, but to a lesser degree. It'll be a free market in money. And so we're our brains, our whole entire lives are so used to an unfree market of money, a controlled market. You go to the U.S., it's only U.S. dollars. You go to Canada, it's only Canadian dollars, right? Imagine a world where you could go to the store and you could pay in 14 different currencies, right? So if we have a true free market in money, in my opinion, it's reasonable to suggest we could have several different monies. I think Bitcoin would be the top. It'd be the main one, our surest, our best one. But it doesn't mean we couldn't have some regional ones pop up for whatever reason. So I think that's entirely possible. But also I think there's I do differentiate between Bitcoin and crypto because Bitcoin is a store of value, it's money. A crypto isn't necessarily, the other cryptos aren't necessarily trying to be stores of value or money. They're trying to do other things.
Like what? Because just now you were saying like a reason for crypto is because it could be a different type of currency. Like there's gold and silver. And by the way, what benefits is there to using silver and like, lower tier currencies? Just curious. And if crypto is more than currencies, then what else is it?
So, the benefit is really just, I can't say why there's a benefit to using anything other than gold, other than that's what the market demands. I think the benefit for silver is it's probably easier to get smaller denominations, right? Like an ounce of silver is right now, what is it, 1/180th the value of gold or something? Actually, it's 1/100th the value of gold. So you can basically have change, smaller denominations.
Right.
I know, like in Mexico, silver is money for a long time because it was one of the biggest silver producers, right? Just part of their economy. So maybe that's a benefit. It's just you're closer to the source where it's being produced.
Right. So it could be all sorts of benefits. You don't really know. It kind of like pops up organically for some reason.
Exactly. I think That's a perfect way of thinking. It's just an organic thing, right? It's like saying, well, which restaurants should exist or not exist? Why is one better than the other? And it's like, there's lots of restaurants people think are amazing and awesome. And I'm like, actually, I kind of think it sucks.
Right.
But everybody else likes it for whatever reason.
Right. And then they come and go, and some last longer than others. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I think Bitcoin will stand the test of time. But it doesn't mean there can't be other ones that come and go, right? For whatever reason, right? An example could be, look at Tesla, Elon Musk, and Twitter, and all, and SpaceX, and Starlink. Maybe he decides to create his own currency, and you need to use that currency to buy any one of those products to
like they did in the video
exchange
games.
in that ecosystem. Well, when you have those big major industries, and if everybody's touching it at one point or another, it forces you to hold it, right? Just like if you want to go to the U.S. and go for dinner and a movie, well, you got to have U.S. dollars.
Right.
I hate the U.S. and hate the dollar, but you need it, right?
Or even like when you go to like a festival and they give you tickets, you got to buy the tickets first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I know in maybe in the Middle East, somebody could want an oil-backed currency that they want to use because they're oil producers, and who knows? That's just cool. The free market. People can come up with whatever ideas they want. And it'll be interesting to see what sticks.
So what are some of your favorite like crypto? And do I say companies or not necessarily?
That's a good question. I always struggle how to explain it too. I usually say projects.
Right.
But yes, like what are other, if a crypto isn't being a currency, what else could it be? What else could it do?
Right.
So, like I think the NFT space is pretty interesting.
Right.
Now, let me explain, because it doesn't mean, like, I don't think all these stupid pictures are worth millions of dollars. I think a lot of is money laundering and pump and dumps and stuff. Right.
But I agree with you. I thought the general framework of what it was supposed to execute made sense.
Yeah. It's like the whole point of an auction house that's going to sell a Picasso for $100 million. Let's say it's Christie's. The reason that they're so famous and you'll get these high profile items go through them is because everybody trusts them that they can prove provenance. They can prove the chain of custody of this piece of art, and that this art is real. And there's a lot of expertise and reputation that goes into that. But even still, some of these auction houses and art houses get it wrong. And there's Netflix got a really good documentary about an art scam. I want to say in the 80s or something. I can't remember. Okay. But basically...
What's it called?
I forget. Okay. I wish I remember. But basically somebody like faked all these paintings and it created quite the stir in the art industry. But where I'm going with this is NFTs solve that problem.
Right.
Is that you can prove you can show the entire history. You can prove that this was the original creator and track the ownership of that piece of art. And that doesn't just apply for art, that applies for property, for a house or a car, for a bottle of ketchup, for anything. And in my opinion, every physical item that's bought or sold in the world is going to be attached to an NFT.
Right.
It's going to be tracked.
So is that the same? Is that almost equivalent to saying it'll be tokenized?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Stocks, bonds.
Right.
Everything's going to be tokenized.
Right. And is the reason that, because, BlackRock was talking about that the other day, and everyone's kind of talking about that. I even hear like some purists talking about it. Is that just simply because it just makes everything more efficient?
Well, actually, centralization makes things more efficient. That's why we've veered towards this.
And does tokenization mean centralization?
Well, it depends who's building it. What BlackRock's doing, I'm sure that's centralization. If you're going to make it decentralized, it won't necessarily be more efficient. It'll be more secure.
Right.
So
that's the
trade-off.
That's the trade-off.
Right. And we're living through a period in time right now where we're reaching, we're at peak centralization. We're going to, everyone's convinced we need this for efficiencies, but those efficiencies are starting to fall apart and the whole thing's falling apart.
Right.
And we're realizing we've been sacrificing efficiency our whole lives up for security.
Right.
And we're really insecure.
Right.
And so I think the pendulum's going to swing the other way.
Right.
And everyone's going to realize we need security. We'll sacrifice some convenience for security.
Right.
And ultimately, I don't think it's, in the end, they'll be convenient. Like like Bitcoin right now is a bit inconvenient. You have 10-minute block times. It can take arguably an hour for a transaction to fully settle. Right.
Right.
You can't buy a chocolate bar like that, right?
And that's usually the main critique I get from like my friends and family. Can I buy something with it? Like that's, it doesn't, it's slow and inefficient. No, you can't. Some things you can, but most things you can't buy with Bitcoin.
But layer 2s will solve that. Right. And so the same thing with tokenizing real world assets. To start, it might be a bit clunky, inconvenient, but layer 2s, technology, it'll improve that and, and ultimately get faster.
Right.
So in the end, I think it'll be very convenient and very fast.
Right.
But it'll start out clunky and slow.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, whenever I think about tokenization, what I think about, people that know me well, I really dislike filling out forms. And like when I have to go to the bank and like put in my account number, I don't quite understand why I have to put in my account number. This is the bank. You guys know my account number. Like there should be an easier way than me always having to write my bank number. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that just seems bizarre to me that they don't know who I am. And so when I think about tokenization, I think maybe you can solve that problem. I don't have to fill out forms. It'll be me. It'll be proven on multiple blockchains or whatever. However the technology works, I don't know. Yeah. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe that's not the promise of tokenization.
No, I think it is. Identity is a big one.
Right.
Because
people are scared about the public IDs, right?
Exactly, because there's almost like identity theft.
Right.
If you got to put in all your information into this, to open any kind of account, even like getting a cell phone or something like that, give them all this ID.
Right.
And more these databases are being hacked, and people are able to use this information against us. There's all these different crypto projects that are working on a way to be able to prove it's you without showing it's you. So you could have your passport, your driver's license, all this personal information on the blockchain. It's okay, it's yours, and all you have to do is maybe show a QR code, and that can prove to the other person that you are who you say you are.
Right.
But they can't actually see any of your private information.
Right.
It's all securely, secretly stored.
Right.
Like that'll be huge.
Right. So a lot of Bitcoiners don't trust that. You seem to think that that's part of the process in becoming more free, that you have this sort of way to identify yourself immediately.
I think maintaining privacy. Privacy, freedom is a function of privacy. If we have no privacy, we're not free. And so,
I've heard you say that before, and I want to explore more. I think I did one reading once where I really understood, that's what privacy means in terms, because there's a negative spin when people say they want privacy. Like, why do you want privacy? What are you doing? What were you doing illegal?
Yeah.
Right. That's the first thing that you think. But I can't remember what it was that I read at one point. It's like, no, it means this. And it was a more nuanced look at what privacy actually is. I'm like, but it kind of slipped my mind.
Yeah.
But even as you say that, I'm like, what does that mean again? What is it about privacy that actually means you're free? And that you're not actually just doing something illegal and you don't want anybody to find out.
For sure. Okay. This is actually an article I've been writing in my head for years.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I wish I'd have written it by now. But I have it penned in my brain. So let's break it down a little bit. Freedom is a function of choice. So if I'm free, a free person can choose what they want to do with their life. They can choose what to eat, choose who they want to marry, spend their life with. They can choose what job they want to do. They can choose where they want to live. The more choice you have, the more free you are.
Okay.
Right? If you have no choice, you're a slave or a prisoner. Right? Okay. So privacy is also a function of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I have my own thoughts, my own things going on, right? And I can choose what to share with you.
And what not to.
And what not to share.
Right, that's a function of choice. I love that. I
Right?
never thought about that.
I'm wearing clothes right now. I got shorts on. The camera can see. But I'm choosing to show you my legs. You know, my you know,
Right.
If I didn't want to, I'd wear pants.
Right.
So same with your house, right? You don't want people looking in your house. You close your blinds. Right? You want privacy.
And it's not because you're doing something illegal in there. It's your choice at that point.
Choice what you want to share with others.
Right.
Look at your bedroom. And, you and your partner, what do you do in your bedroom? Do you want to share that with the whole world or not?
Right.
Right. A lot of people don't.
Right.
And you shouldn't have to.
Right.
And what happens is, imagine, we've all had a job or somebody or anyone's looking over our shoulders, what we're doing.
Right.
It's really annoying. Right. It's like, stop looking, like just,
you can't be as productive.
No.
You can't even type straight. You're like, it's like, right. Interesting.
Now imagine 1984 Big Brother.
I was just thinking
cameras everywhere, looking at everything you do every single day.
Right.
Looking in your bedroom to see what you're doing.
Right.
How you're eating.
Right.
What they see you when you're naked, like everything. Looking at your bank accounts. They know everything you're doing. It's a form of mind control because you no longer are choosing what you're sharing. It's another prison. It's another form of slavery because every action you have, you're not doing on your own volition. You're doing based on those that are watching.
It's true. And that's what those characters in 1984 were like kind of up to. They were always acting because they knew someone else was watching.
Yeah. And that's why Winston would find that little corner in his house which he knew the screens couldn't see. That was his one piece of freedom. Right. This tiny little
thing.
corner.
I always imagined him like under this camera or TV or something. It's like, I love who's the girl that they fall in love or whatever. I love when she gives him the note. Oh, that's my favorite part in the whole novel. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Do you remember the note? I feel like the book kind of led up to that because at first he kept seeing the girl and whatever her name was, and she kept following him. He's like, oh, fuck, why is this person following? Here's somebody else after me, and then she kept getting closer to him, and he's like, fuck, what's going on? And then she leaves him a note, or they pick up a note, and it says, I love you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. And it's the only moment I ever felt in the whole book where it was like, there's some love. Here's the human element.
Yeah.
Right? And it was such a cool bit.
No matter how bad things get, we still strive to be and to feel and connect, right?
For that. Yeah. But then that was it. I mean, it just all goes downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. So privacy is a function of choice.
Right.
And freedom is a function of choice.
It makes sense to me.
So let's combine those equations. Freedom is a function of privacy. We can't be truly free until we have true privacy. And this is the evils with central bank digital currencies, the whole social credit system. They want to know everything we're doing to control us. Right. And that's why privacy is so important.
Right.
And that's actually probably the one thing that they'll really go after will be privacy. Like in crypto, there was a whole like a developer involved with Tornado Cash. He's essentially arrested without a trial. And the community is really up in arms about that.
Right.
So in my opinion, I think if there's going to be a real battle in the future, it's going to be over privacy.
Right.
And exactly like what you said, those that are trying to have privacy and create it are going to be vilified. They're hiding something, right? Why do you, if you have nothing to hide, or sorry, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to hide, right? And that everything thinks like that.
Right. A lot of people, it's easy to think like that.
Yeah. And it generally is true, right? I don't have anything to hide. Like, I'm not doing anything bad. You're not doing anything bad. Most of us aren't.
But you still want some privacy every now and
then. Yeah. You still, you still have to have the buffer zone, the ability, the choice to share it or not. Right? As soon as you lose that, you lose everything.
Not to get all spiritual, but the concept of heaven being this sort of like everything's truth and known. But I remember there's this one bit where Jesus is telling his disciples, I'm actually, where I'm going, I'm going to prepare a room for you so that when you come back, I can bring you to your room. And it's always like, why a room? So maybe in that concept of heaven, there is still an element of privacy, even though there's sort of like truth everywhere, but there's still that moment to close the door for whatever reason that is, for the choice.
Yeah.
For the choice of that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, okay, going back to Jesus and Christianity, isn't that's something I always remember too, is God gave man the choice to believe in him. He never forced man to believe in him. It was always a choice, wasn't it?
I mean, I think from the very beginning with Adam and Eve, right? In that garden, it was like that damn choice.
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, if you've watched The Matrix,
yes.
You know, the architect, you know, what's
I mean, I really only love the first one.
Okay.
And the architect wasn't in that one. But I can go with you in the second and third ones, yeah.
When Neo, I think it's the second one, he talks to the architect, and the architect says the problem was choice.
Right.
They couldn't
He
figure
has some
out that
great
variable.
lines in there.
Yeah.
The writers of that film, I mean, they're just ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so kind of going back to, let's bring it back to crypto, I guess.
Yeah.
It's doing other things that Bitcoin isn't.
Right.
Right. I do think it is possible, like in my mind, it's still possible that Bitcoin could do like NFTs and privacy and all these other things.
Right.
If you can figure all that stuff out, then I kind of agree with the Maxis. Like, it's Bitcoin all the way. Everything else is a waste of time.
Right.
Bitcoin wins. Right. But I'm not seeing that.
Yeah. And that was going to be my next question, actually. Is there in your space in your fund, and I'd love to learn more about the fund too, is there any Bitcoin companies doing anything? Is there any layer 2? I know Lightning's a layer 2, but it's not really a company. Like, does it need to be a company? Like, where is the layer 2 field in Bitcoin?
So there are companies working on different Bitcoin layers, different Bitcoin
Jeff
stuff.
Boots sure seems to think so too.
Yeah, they definitely are. Now, exactly what they're doing or how, I'm not sure, but I know they exist. As far as like my fund, what I'm doing, actually, maybe let me just dial back a little bit. In my opinion, we're going to have like a few dozen blockchains kind of survive all this.
Right.
I think it's going to be like, you go back, like with the invention of the car. There's a few thousand different automobile manufacturers in like the year 1900.
Right.
And then 40 years later, there's only like 30.
Right.
Right. And when Henry Ford came out with mass production, really revolutionized the industry, and it became economies of scale.
Right.
Right. I think it's, and same with like in the 90s, the internet, like the Internet Explorers.
Right.
There's like a dozen different ones.
Right.
Now we basically just use Chrome and Edge. Like so. I
mean, there's only the Fantastic Five. I mean, that's really the internet.
Yeah. And we just, there's Facebook. Well, Facebook was the first, right? But now Instagram just does pictures, really. TikTok does videos. Like, it's all, they find their niche and then they kind of get huge. So I think it's going to be something similar with blockchain and crypto.
Right.
Bitcoin won the store of value. We're going to have other chains that kind of maybe win their niche. And there's 25,000 cryptocurrencies.
Right.
I'm sure we'll end up with maybe 30.
Right.
Like of value.
Right.
Like, and like, for example, one that I find interesting is helium. They're trying to build a decentralized physical infrastructure network, whereas these their miners are basically like Wi-Fi routers that you connect to your home internet router, and then it sends a signal that connects with other helium routers.
Interesting.
And it's creating like a layer 2 internet. And I've always thought, well, what if enough of these exist to the point where maybe it can replace the internet? We could have this total decentralized infrastructure of Wi-Fi hotspots that don't rely on, and it can be like a new transmission source, because the telecommunication companies are grossly monopolized. Right. And there's always talk about all the censorship on the internet.
Right.
Canada's going crazy with it right now.
Right.
We almost need an alternative internet.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of
And-
stuff from my sister. She lives out in Toronto, like blocked in Canada, and like
Yeah.
Instagram stuff just blocked in Canada. Yeah.
It's gone.
Right.
They've gone full crazy. They're
Right.
full retard.
So
And
helium?
I'm Canadian, by the way, so I can say that. It's yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the bankers thing that kind of bugs me. The strike there that happened there, but yeah. So helium, huh? Like a physical infrastructure, a layer 2 on the top of internet.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Like,
I wonder where
it's-
that goes.
Right, and so it's totally different than. I'm not saying they have a token and they do stuff to use it.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say this token is better than Bitcoin or anything like that. It's totally different,
Right.
But to use that network, you need their token, right? To pay for
I
stuff.
see.
And so it creates a demand for that token or
Right.
whatever. But I always thought, wouldn't that be cool if that Helium network could eventually transmit the Bitcoin blockchain? People could do Bitcoin transactions over that network.
Interesting.
And it's a way to not rely on the traditional infrastructure, right? We've got a backup.
Right.
So, in my opinion, there's room for innovation.
For anything, innovation. Yeah. Something's going to click. Some niche is going to be hit.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah,
I'm
no
doing
worries.
my fun,
No
but
worries.
I think we're in a multi-chain world. I do kind of get the whole Bitcoin maxi view that we only need Bitcoin.
Right.
But the reality of humanity is that we're imperfect. And so just like, we have different electrical grids around the world, different countries driving the left side of the road or right side of the road, right? There's always these different network effects that take off and get stuck. The US is still in the imperial system, the rest of the world's on metric.
Right.
It's going to be the same with blockchains.
Right.
We're going to have these blockchains that grow, the network effects get to a point where they're not going to go away.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a multi-chain world. And so kind of ultimately that's the bet is with my fund, because my fund is investing in a token called RUNE. That crypto is called Thorchain. And Thorchain is a decentralized exchange. So they can swap Bitcoin to Ethereum, to Litecoin, Dogecoin, whatever.
And it's a decentralized exchange?
Yeah. So the bet on Thorchain is basically a bet on a multi-chain world, right? If there's only going to be one chain that survives, if only Bitcoin survives, we don't need an exchange,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm of the opinion there's going to be multiple chains survive.
Right.
We are going to need an exchange to trade between them.
Right.
And Thorchain is that exchange.
Interesting.
So that's my bet. And then if I just add one thing,
Yeah.
there's a concept with, there's the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
So what happens if you're given like say you go to a restaurant, you get this 10-page menu. You're like, there's so much on here, I don't know what I want. Whereas if you go to another restaurant, you get a 1-page menu with 5 items.
Right.
It's actually pretty easy to choose what you want.
Right.
Because the paradox is when you have less to choose from, it's easier to choose.
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to crypto, there's like 25, 30,000 cryptos.
Right.
We're like, I don't know what the heck to do.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm trying to make it simple for people. We just need to do this one. I'm not saying put all your money into it. I'm not saying this is the only one to own. But for me right now, if I'm going to make outside of Bitcoin, if I'm going to make a concentrated bet, this is what I want to do. And that's why I'm doing it.
Huh. So is your fund like completely in RUNE?
All in RUNE, all in Thorchain.
Huh.
I'm running nodes on the network.
You're running several nodes on the network.
Yeah. And so
yeah, go ahead.
I obviously think it's going to succeed and grow.
Right.
And it's going to get to a point where, like right now, to run one node is about $5 million.
What does that mean?
So it's proof of stake. So you have to buy the token, and it takes about 1 million RUNE tokens to become a node on the network.
Okay.
And so if I'm right, and the RUNE token goes up in price, let's say it's $100, you still need 1 million tokens to run a node. Well, now it's $100 million for one node. Nobody's going to just plunk $100 million down to run a node. People are going to want to pool their money to do it.
Right.
And so my fund gives people a vehicle to pool their money to be able to run nodes.
Huh. So your clients are all Thor users then, or Thor believers?
Yeah. Well, and Kenton believers too. Well, I do. It's and some clients they're trusting me, right? They're following my lead. But yeah, I've definitely convinced them.
Right.
And yeah.
Huh. Wow. So I haven't done a lot of research on RUNE. I've heard you mention it once or twice at the Bitcoin meetings, but I haven't followed up. So to walk me through the proof of stake thing, like, I feel like that's always a point of contention with Bitcoiners.
Sure. Yeah.
And here's just a basic question. Does proof of stake mean that it's a company?
I don't think it means it's a company, but I think it means it acts like a company.
Right.
Like with a company, you have shares,
right?
And the majority of shareholders decide what the company does,
right?
In proof of stake, the majority of the token holders decide what that protocol will do,
right?
So yeah, it acts the same,
right?
Yeah.
Does it matter if it's a company or not?
How do you mean? Like if it's a real world company?
Well, I mean, I feel like that's just one of the things that the Bitcoiners throw out there is Bitcoin's not a company, Bitcoin's not a company, Bitcoin's not a company. And then there's certain benefits, I guess, that come with that.
Okay, like not a security.
Exactly.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go. I think I know what you're going with this.
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn,
yeah. So Bitcoin is proof of work.
Right.
Which means it doesn't matter how many Bitcoins you own. You have, like Michael Saylor or Satoshi has no more say over the Bitcoin network than you or I with our piddly coins.
Compared
right?
to them, right?
Yeah. It's people running the nodes and the miners, right?
Right.
They're in control.
Right.
Where there's proof of stake, the Michael Saylors, Satoshis would have more say than you or I, right? And the argument is that proof of work is better for Bitcoin, for a store of value, for money,
right?
And which I agree. Mm-hmm. The other cryptos that are proof of stake, they're not trying to be money. They're not trying to be Bitcoin. They're not competing with Bitcoin. They're completely different than Bitcoin.
Right.
So if you look at it today, it's like you have U.S. dollars, and you can use those to go buy into a company, a stock. The U.S. dollar isn't anything like Apple or Amazon. So if you look at Bitcoin like it's money and using that to go buy different crypto, a different project, that's the way to look at it. So when it comes to these other cryptos, to me, you're buying them because you're trying to increase your number of Bitcoins. If you're buying this other crypto and it's not outperforming Bitcoin, well, you're kind of wasting your time. What are you doing, right? To just sit in Bitcoin, right? No different. You have dollars and you go buy a company and it goes down in dollar terms.
Right.
What are you doing? You might as well just stay in dollars.
Right.
So, I think where some of the Bitcoin community might get a bit overzealous is they think all proof of stake is evil and wrong. It's like, well, for a store of value, for a money, I can understand. It probably doesn't work. Doesn't make sense.
Right. But if your function is something else, where you need a little more efficiency, and then it's fine.
Because you look at stocks at companies today, that's one of the mantras. People they want to see the management teams own shares of the companies they manage,
right?
Because that means they have a vested interest in that share price going up,
right?
So that's all proof of stake. It's the exact same thing,
right? We
want the developers, the people that are working on this protocol to own those tokens and drive up the price. So the whole concept of a security, I don't think that matters so much whether it's proof of stake or proof of work. That's not the way the SEC defines it. The way they look at calling something a security is based on
the Howey test.
How those tokens are sold to the public.
Right, it's the initial offering.
Exactly.
Right.
And so they don't really care if it's proof of work or proof of stake. But
proof of stake does, though. I can see why, because it gives a handful of people power to control the network, I think that's one of the items in the Howey test that, as I've read, I can't remember what any of them are now, but I bring it up on ChatGPT. What's the Howey test again? Oh yeah, this stuff.
Yeah, it's like, are you are you giving somebody money with the expectation that they're going to put in effort, sweat, and time to give you a return?
Yeah,
kind of
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, like the original, I think they've already settled this on Ripple. Like the initial sale of tokens were viewed as a securities transaction, but any subsequent sale of tokens are not. It's really getting into nitty gritty of like, the semantics and definitions, right?
Right.
But the broader issue or reason for being called a security is that if the SEC in the US deems a crypto or anything a security for that matter, they then have to follow securities laws.
Right.
And nobody wants to do that because of pain in the butt, right? And then if you look at Coinbase and the exchanges, if any of the cryptos that trade on their exchange are called securities, Coinbase either has to delist them or they have to apply as a securities dealer, which is a whole bunch of headache and work they don't want to do.
Right.
So it's really just comes down to a regulatory nightmare for these companies to comply,
Right.
which they don't want to do.
Right.
So they all want to try to avoid being considered securities to avoid that headache.
Right.
And from the SEC's point of view, they want to regulate everything. Right? They want to call everything a security, and we want to control you and regulate you and charge you fees.
Right.
So that's really the gist. And so the real risk of a crypto being deemed a security by the SEC is that it loses liquidity. Is that it gets the exchanges delist it, and you're no longer able to trade it.
Right.
And
people can't find you.
Yeah.
You lose your cash.
Yeah. And this happened with Russia, with Russian stocks when with the war in Ukraine.
What happened exactly?
So Russian individuals are having their bank accounts frozen.
Right. Remember that?
That's why was it Lakovia? The development here was delayed because there's some Russian money in it. And
is that right?
That's what I heard.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think 20% of the.
Because I remember it was delayed there for a bit. And everybody's like, "Wait, what? What's happening?"
I think it was because they have to pre-sell the homes, right? And I think some of those homes were from Russians, and they had their funds frozen, and they couldn't make the payments.
Wow.
That's what I heard. I don't know if it's
right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But more importantly, brokerage firms in the West. And I experienced this. This is when I was still working at the other company. They put a freeze on Russian stocks, so you couldn't buy or sell Russian stocks,
right?
And so it effectively makes them worthless,
right.
And you have to transfer the stock to a market, to a jurisdiction where they can actually be sold, right?
Right.
So this would be the problem with crypto. If any of them are deemed securities, it'd be really hard to find a market for them inside the U.S., which is the biggest economy in the world.
Right. But one place it could exchange on is Thor.
Whoa, there we go. Bingo. This is why I'm so huge on it.
Right.
And is that, my expectation eventually Thorchain will become the biggest crypto exchange in the world for this reason.
Right.
Because anyone in the world can use it.
Right. So SEC coming down hard might even help Thor.
In the long run.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, ideally, everybody gets along, right? It just makes things so much quicker and smoother, right? But yeah, necessity is the mother of invention. Right. And it would, if the U.S. really truly did clamp down on crypto, it would just push out of their borders.
Right.
It'd all go overseas.
Right.
It would come to Thorchain for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool, man. So this has been a great conversation. We're 1:43 in and still rolling. Let's maybe just spend the next 15 minutes and bring AI into this conversation.
All right.
So what are some ways because AI seems to be, cross-sectioning with Bitcoin and crypto, and some people even say, Bitcoin is the antidote to any excesses in AI, and then there's the whole, quantum computers will destroy the Bitcoin network, and AI is gonna, et cetera, et cetera. So where are you in this whole marriage between AI and the Bitcoin crypto world?
I'm a bit of a Luddite.
What does that mean again?
Like,
they don't like technology. Is that what the Luddites are?
like Amish.
Right.
And actually, my roots are Mennonite. My family's Mennonite.
Ah, cool.
And so I'm everything with AI. I'm like, just the technology is not. I don't know. It's hard.
You're a Luddite that's into crypto.
Yeah, exactly.
Point that out.
Well,
but AI, yeah. Screw AI, right?
It's maybe, how do I say this? I don't know that I buy into the hype that we're all going to become obsolete in 5 years because AI is doing all our jobs for us. I think it has a long way to go.
Sure.
Because humans are infallible and humans are programming it.
We're fallible, you mean?
We
make errors.
Sorry, correct. Yeah, we're fallible.
Right.
And we're our errors just by the way we're programming AI.
It just goes into it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure you've seen Google's new AI is all super woke and stuff.
Right.
There's, and even ChatGPT, people type in, what do you think about Trump? What do you think about Biden? Two completely different answers. Right?
Yeah.
It's very obviously biased.
Yeah.
And to me, that's, in my opinion, real intelligence learns, right? You don't it have to be self-learning and not programmed like that. I just don't think we're there yet. I think our brains are so far more advanced. It's like the computer that can, the best chess player in the world, it can't tie its own shoes.
Right.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not.
I love it. I love the idea. I have these spells, and I went through a spell where I was like, we're still far away from recreating a human, the self-consciousness or whatever it is that makes a human a human.
Yeah.
I still think we are pretty far away from that. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. But I still do love what AI brings, the efficiency that it brings even me in my life.
Yeah.
Where was I going? Where I was going with that is I remember, maybe it wasn't Jordan Peterson, maybe it was him, but the idea was that they were trying to make robots, but the complication with making the mind or the intelligence is that it needs the adequate body to be able to perform what the intelligence requires it to. So it turned out that what slowed everything down for a while was that it was just all hyper-focused on the mind, the intelligence aspect of it. But like you said, it could do one thing right, but it couldn't tie its own shoes. So I wonder if that needs to play out. And if we are actually going to create something that is a human, maybe it's going to have to look and act and have a physical body like a human, right? Maybe that's where that goes.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting parallel with AI having to have this sort of physical body to
is it just to utilize or also to have sensory inputs? Because we have smell, sight, taste, sound, right? We're getting these multiple inputs.
Right.
Whereas ChatGPT is just getting text thrown at it.
Just text.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting because it cannot recreate a photo. If you throw in a photo into ChatGPT and you say, recreate this photo, it can't. It can only recreate a version of it that doesn't look like it. And I think the reason is because when it gets the photo, this is just my hypothesis, it decodes it into words.
Yeah.
And then when you ask to recreate it, it recreates it out of words. And it gives you the same image as somebody sitting in front of the Christmas tree, but it's not the image that you first gave it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which you think would be super simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it occurred to me, because it's word-based. If it was digit-based or whatever, it would give me the image.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
And it lies, right?
I've caught it in a few lies in a few contradictions.
Yeah. And
where it says, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you're right." Actually, this and that and that.
Yeah. So it all depends on I guess it's no different than humans, right? We grew up in different environments, and our brains, we'll have a totally unique set of experiences and knowledge compared to somebody halfway around the world. So I guess it's the same with AIs. Depending on what you're putting into it, they're going to have different personalities and knowledge bases.
Right.
But again, remember, I acknowledged I didn't get Bitcoin right away. It took me a few years.
Right.
It could be the same with AI.
Right,
Maybe
right.
I'm not buying into it right now. Give me a few years. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I should have spent more time on it.
Yeah. I know Booth thinks that a lot. He's a Bitcoiner that's big into AI, and he's always talking about the exponential growth rate of AI.
Yeah.
And that it's actually happening way faster than we think. And I mean, ChatGPT is only a year old now at this point.
Yeah.
And then a year later we have Sora. I'm sure you saw that. That's creating the videos out of text. Did you see those?
That's pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, what's next?
And that's a fantastic point, because it's also something I had to admit to myself is I really underestimated how fast Bitcoin and crypto is being adopted, is taking off.
What made you think that? Because I still feel like it's slow, or slower than I would like. That's
like
for sure.
El Salvador making legal tender.
Right.
We've got the Bitcoin ETFs now.
Right. That's actually so huge.
Yeah. Things are moving.
Yeah.
So I think fair point. It'd be the same with AI, that things are just moving so fast that in the next few years, like, holy smokes, I can't believe where we're at.
Yeah.
I guess maybe where should I go with it is, I just don't think it's going to replace humans. I'm not buying into that.
Right.
I think we get a long way before that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I think let's wrap it up there.
All right,
well,
awesome.
we're ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. It's good. Buddy. Yeah.
Nice chatting. I appreciate you coming on. And then, I love talking about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's always great to have these conversations, where you can dig deep onto the Bitcoin and crypto stuff. I love our meetings.
Yeah.
7 Mile Beach, Bitcoin.org.
No, I think it's just 7 Mile Bitcoin.
7milebitcoin.org.
Yeah.
For all y'all interested in meeting some of the other Bitcoiners out there in Cayman.